are back for the second half of downloadable content. Everyone's still here. We haven't gone off on our own Pokemon adventure to capture all the Pokemon in the world.
I'm injecting rare candy.
or use performance enhancing drugs for themselves.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, what is a rare candy made out of?
I would think part Oompa Loompa.
Sugar spice, everything nice, a little HGH and anabolic steroids.
And 2% butterscotch Ripple.
I honestly don't have an answer for this.
Yeah, nope.
I don't either, so we're gonna ignore Brian's growing drug addiction and move on to Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire. I believe Emerald is the third one that came out for this one. Yes, it is.
Yep.
These games came out November 21st, 2002 for Japan, March 19th, 2003 for North America, a couple months afterwards for Australia, a couple months after that for Europe. Now, this is the Game Boy Advance versions. These take place in a new region. This is the Hoenn region. Hoenn region is a relatively smaller region in the sense that there's like one main land that has like 4 or 5 towns, and the rest of it is all small islands. And this is where I personally do not like this because of the fact that nearly a third of the Pokemon you catch are water based. Because of the fact that it's like basically a large island.
Yeah. Can I add something real fast? It's like in third generation, one of the things I became very, very quickly aware of were just how many water Pokemon there have always been in all the generations. There are like twice as many water Pokemon as there are any other type. And it's not till third generation where you're just dragging yourself and your poor water Pokemon through every single freaking route, and you just get bombarded by all of these annoying water Pokemon that it really just hits you. Oh my god, there are too many of these mofos. And
it makes sense for this region based on the fact that it's basically just a large island chain.
Yeah.
But it still is the fact that, like, there's too many goddamn water types in Pokemon in general.
Yeah, and the execution just leaves something to be desired. In fact, I think, I think all of us had a falling out point with Pokemon. And as much as I love third generation now, it was definitely the tedium of third gen when it first came out. In addition to the fact that, we just decided to drop the day-night cycle and a couple other things and here's some other gimmicks instead.
Yeah, they dropped daylight. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Also, I'm dragging on, but all of those things for the time being overshadowed how awesome the abilities and other things that they had brought in were. And then later, of course, I look back and I was like, I'm a fool.
Go ahead, Nick.
It also, I believe this is the start of we are starting to have way too many legendaries because we got, about 4 to 5 legendaries in the first game, about 6 legendaries in the second game. In this one, we got 3, 6, 10 legendaries. 10 legendaries by my count here. And this was starting to get to the point, it's like, okay, so we're starting to have too many legendaries.
Yeah, they're not legendary anymore.
Yeah, the legendaries, for those who don't know, from Generation 2 were Raikou, Entei, Suicune, Lugia, Ho, and Celebi. And Celebi was the Nintendo exclusive. You have to get this one from a Nintendo store.
In Japan.
In Japan. Or New York, or LA?
No, it never made it to the United States until 4th generation.
Okay.
This was completely exclusive to Japan. Same thing with Jirachi in the 3rd generation until the 4th generation came about, and Nintendo was like, fine, I guess we can give you these.
Yeah, Generation 3, you have Regirock, Regice, Registeel, Latias, Latios, Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza, Jirachi, and you have 4 different versions of Deoxys.
But it's just one Deoxys ultimately.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the legendary golems, Regice and so on, are hidden to the point that the first time I played through, I never knew they existed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were based like buried in puzzles, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to bend over backward and sacrifice a Caterpie to do it. It's like
I'm okay with sacrificing.
That's fine. It's my Pokemon. They breed pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was the first thing that came to my head.
Brian, thank you for this. I didn't know the exact number. 135 Pokemon got added, so that means we're now at 386. And it's now getting harder and harder to keep track of how many there are. It's getting to the point where I believe how they do it from here on out is you get a Pokemon for the regional Pokedex, and then you get a Pokedex update once you beat the game for the national Pokedex, which updates all the numberings and confuses the hell out of you even more.
Yes, sure does. This was also the Pokedex. I forgot what I was gonna add here. Nope, lost it. Never mind. Continue.
Some of the gimmicks that were mentioned, they had something called a e-reader support, where Nintendo released things called Battle E-cards, which contain trainer battles that players could see previously hidden Pokemon. And they also released a e-reader card called the Eon Ticket. This would let you get to a place called the Southern Island, and that would be where you would fight Latios or Latias, depending upon which version you were using. Again, the story is pretty similar. You're a guy. This time you move to the region instead of just being there.
And this time you can be a girl.
Can you be a girl? Is this the first one?
This is when May comes in.
Yeah, so this is the first time you... Okay, so this is actually a relatively major improvement. Whereas Region 1 and Region 2, you're only playing as a guy until they fix that in the re-releases.
Crystal is the first time you can play as a female.
I remember I was very happy about that.
Okay. So, and Crystal is the first one, but...
exclusively female.
So like from here on out, you can now play as a boy or a girl, which is a nice change of pace. And but you're going through this time. The bad guys are either Team Aqua or Team Magma, depending upon which version you're playing. So Ruby, the villains are Team Magma. In Sapphire, the bad guys are Team Aqua.
And Emerald, you fought both.
Yeah,
and
fuck you.
Yeah, and the thing in Team Aqua and Team Magma are both kind of lame by themselves.
They're idiots.
Team Magma wants to make more land. Okay. Yeah. And Team Aqua wants to make more water. We're on a goddamn island. We don't need any more water.
Yeah, and that was another one of my big frustrations with Ruby and Sapphire was these guys, they're just like schmucks. All they've got are pooch hyenas. They're just running around with little, they suck. Their motivation is bogus, etc., etc. And while their motivation is still bogus, I give a lot of credit to Emerald to getting me back in to Pokemon, even though it was the same generation, because in Emerald you have both Aqua and Magma, and while both teams still suck, they are feeding off of each other's ineptitude, and they wreck shit. They pretty much destroy or set in course, you know, a course of motion that would destroy the region if you don't step in. And there's this real intense sense of oh my god, this area is fucked due to the incompetence of these two teams, which does not come through when you only have one of them in Ruby or Sapphire. It's really, really cool to get to see that showdown between Kyogre and Groudon while like the oceans are undergoing this huge drought and all the land is like having monsoon season. Is really cool, even though it's not like it's not much more than a cosmetic change. It is a very big thematic change. There's a much more, you know, heavy sense of gravity. Like, oh my god, we're screwed.
Yeah. So I played this, but it was really a struggle for me to get through this game. Mainly because of the fact that there was so much goddamn water. Like, I think I nearly dropped the game entirely just because of the fact that I spent like a third of the game surfing and every fight beating into a random battle. And even if you had repelled, you still could fight things if they were stronger than the highest level Pokemon you had.
Yeah.
Was there anything that were mentioned on this game you wanna, or is anyone else okay with moving onward to the next one?
Oh, just sorry.
Wait, I was gonna ask, is this the one where we see contests?
Yes.
Yeah.
Contests.
Beauty pageants.
Beauty pageants.
Contests are definitely like they were fun if you really decided to get into them, but otherwise they seemed like a big gimmick. The big thing, the most important thing that Pokemon Generation 3 did in terms of establishing the series to be able to survive in the longer term was introducing abilities. And I don't think that can be understated because up until then, you had hidden values, the IVs and EVs, which could give your Pokemon a competitive edge. But beyond that, it was very much just a simple matter of, okay, this Pokemon is inherently better. This Pokemon is inherently worse. I'm just going to steamroll you. Third generation introduced abilities where you can have the same Pokemon with the same stats, but one is better because it's got the ability to trace its opponent's powers, and one of them is weaker because it doesn't, and it was a very passive thing that they added that really, really expanded on the competitive depth and even the casual depth of play where, okay, yeah, I want to get this Pokemon, but that nature, no, I don't want that nature, and I don't want that ability. It added both of those. And those were both huge to Pokemon being a game that I don't get as tired of. I mean, I'm finally starting to get Pokemon fatigue again in the past year or two, but third generation set me up to carry me forward because they introduced abilities and they introduced natures. So there's so much more variance. It's not just, okay, every Charizard is almost the same Charizard. It's you've got a Jolly Charizard or a Quirky Charizard or a Adamant Charizard, and they're gonna fight differently, Yeah,
and you hit it there with not just the abilities of, adding special effects to what the Pokemon can do, the natures, which definitely helped out and made Pokemon more or less useful, but this was also the first generation that uses that the IV and EV system, the individual value and the effort value system, that is used today.
Yeah.
As a result, and I kind of remember what I was thought of earlier. This is the first, because of this new system and because of this new way that they figure out the calculations of your stats, you could not transfer anything from the first and second generation of Pokemon to the third. You had to start from scratch, from the very beginning, and this turned a lot of people away from Pokemon.
Yeah.
This is why the third generation is considered the least popular. For that very reason.
Yeah, it is possible to get all 386, but you do have to trade with Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yes, that was how they remedied that solution, was that game.
Yeah, but in terms of all the Pokemon that I had grown up with and I loved, like I remember vividly like being in a Target or something and reading the guide just because I couldn't afford the game yet, and I was like, okay, where do you get Sneasel? Where do you get Sneasel? Because Sneasel is one of those ones that you only get towards the very end of Gold and Silver anyway, but I always loved the design of it and everything else. I was like, wait, what? You can't get it in this game at all? Like there's like 80 other Pokemon you just cannot get in Ruby or Sapphire? What the fuck? And I remember being so disheartened, and between that and the teams that weren't fleshed out and all the other stuff, and the the lack of an ability to carry my Pokemon forward from my previous games, it just was a real slap in the face, and I dropped out for like 2 years.
I feel like also the fact that we lost the clock. Like the day-night cycle, we lost the clock. Even if that isn't really a real-time clock as much as it is just an internal chronometer. Because you can set the time to whatever heck it is you want, and then it's going to keep counting from that point onward. Like, the fact that we lose the day-night cycle on the clock, combined with all these other things of a lot of water Pokemon, you can't get your Pokemon from Red and Blue or Gold and Silver into this new game. And I think that's the main reason why a lot of people dropped it. One thing I did forget to mention, this is the first game generation that does have twin battles, where you can fight with 2 Pokemon instead of 1.
Yeah.
But it's very gimmicky. There's only like a handful of times that's ever going to come up. And it's usually always with like twins on the road, or like a couple or something.
Or the
So this is the one that introduced the move Helping Hand?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
And Plusle and Minun, who were very gimmicky because they were literally just there because of the double battle system. And they just seemed like Pikachu knockoffs. And
Pichu knockoffs?
Yeah, Pichu knockoffs. But yeah, I mean, it's like third generation I appreciate for all that it gave us. And yet, it was just such a hard transition. Really abrupt.
It's a really difficult transition, and they did add some stuff, including the weather. We forgot about the weather, but it's such a difficult shift, and also the fact that I think how they handled giving this information out, and that they really didn't. They didn't get us information out. We had to discover it on our own. That I think that's why this turned a lot of people away.
Yeah. But then, I mean, once they released Fire Red and Leaf Green, I think that saved me from turning off of Pokemon forever. I think if they had to do that, and they absolutely did, looking back at the mechanics of the first 2 generations versus the mechanics since, they are significantly worse mechanics. If they had let it ride any longer, you would have had a game franchise probably die out sooner. I really don't think they would have been able to drag the same mechanic through the mud any longer without people just being like, well, I've played 3 times, I've bought 10 games, I'm not going to waste any more time or money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm grateful that they did it, even though it hurt so much for, what was it, 15-year-old me or however old I was.
I think the main reason why is that there's just not as much discussion on it back then as there is now.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that the internet is still relatively getting there in terms of being a public place for people to free information, things like that. Like things that we take for granted now about the internet. Like those budding ideas were still coming forth when Ruby and Sapphire were released. So, and we were still kind of relying on Nintendo powers and whatnot for information on the Pokemon games. So, and how they handled the IVEV thing is probably the biggest reason why there's so many issues with it. But if you guys have nothing else to add, we're going to move on to the 4th generation. This is Diamond, Pearl, and then there's another one here, Platinum. Diamond and Pearl came out September 28th, 2006. So on a 10-year anniversary for Japan, they released the 4th generation. North America got it April 22nd, 2007. Australia got it a couple months later. Europe got it a month after that. This takes place in the Sinnoh region, which is based on the Japanese island of Hokkaido.
I think this is when we got our overload of ice Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, there is a fair bit of ice Pokemon in this game, just due to... I believe Hokkaido's the
mountainous region,
yeah.
The northern portion of Japan.
Northern coast. I thought it was Osaka, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Hokkaido is the northern Japanese prefecture. Yeah. So it's pretty up there.
One of the 107 new Pokemon, so now we're up to 493, but this one is the reason this generation is the one that got people back into Pokemon for one very big change, and that is what's known as the physical special split. So up until this point, fire type moves were always considered special attacks, and normal type moves were always considered physical attacks. And now we don't have that anymore. Every type can either be a physical attack or a special attack by a denotation, which made Pokemon like Kingler actually useful because it can now actually use its physical attack stat without being stuck with all the water moves and going, I have to rely on my stupid special attack stat, which is garbage. And it gave a whole new rebalancing to how all of Pokemon worked. And it really brought a lot of people back, myself included.
We do see the return of the day-night cycle. We get morning, day, afternoon, evening, and night. This takes place on the DS too, so there's that bump in graphics. Although I do believe that there's a bit of a controversy around this because people thought the graphic update and the audio update was not as noticeable with Diamond and Pearl as they thought it was with Ruby and Sapphire and previously Gold and Silver.
These were the first ones for the DS, right?
Yes. Yeah. What's some other new features here?
Slathering honey on trees, is that a new one for that?
I think so. And GTS. GTS is the big one you're looking for.
Oh, the internet, yeah.
Yeah, Global Trade System. That's the other big one. that's probably that I think more than anything else is actually what brought him back, and not so much the typing split. Although I think that helped a bit. I think that the fact that you can now trade over the internet is why
Nintendo discovered the internet.
Yeah, somehow, even though they appear to have lost it a couple of years later.
Enter what?
Yeah. As long as you had Wi-Fi support and you could connect to the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection, which was the budding storage online trading area, you could trade with Pokemon. You could trade with players around the world. You could communicate them with voice chat because people forget that there's a microphone in the DS, and you can even battle people online. So there is a bit of lag, mind you, with battling online, but still the idea of you being a trainer in America could play against someone in Japan or in Europe.
And get your ass handed to by someone in Japan in 3 seconds.
Yeah, but...
And if you happen to have a level 1 Bibarel, you could trade for somebody's Arceus. Which is...
There's some rather troll trades on...
They were exclusively troll trades after a while because there was an exploit that you could do, which I can't remember all of it, but if you put up a Pokemon for trade and nobody accepted your trade, and I can't remember exactly what it is. I think it's if you shut off the game in the middle of getting your Pokemon back, it will stay on the GTS, and it'll be downloaded into your cartridge again, so you can clone your legendaries. However, it was also a really handy trick where if you put a Pokemon up that you wanted to evolve via trading, such as Onix or any of the other ones, Haunter, etc. If you put it up there and no one traded for it, but then you completed another trade independent of that and brought your Haunter back, it would evolve into a Gengar without you having to trade it and never getting it back, because who's going to give back a Gengar if the person is not standing across the room from you?
Yeah, I believe you could have up to 4 or 5 Pokemon available for trade at a time on the global trade system.
I thought you could only have 1, but I don't recall.
It's been a while since I played and used it. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But plot's still pretty similar. You're a guy or a girl. You're gonna adventure through the Sinnoh region. This time the bad guys are called Team Galactic.
Oh, they're so boring.
And their idea is that they want to use Pokemon to restructure the region into a utopia.
Boring. Sorry.
So make sure you catch your 14 legendaries this time. I think is the most out of any generation.
Let's see.
I don't know. 6th generation could probably give it a run for its money.
Goddamn ridiculous.
Well, 14 legendaries out of what? 500 Pokemon, just about? It's...
Well, add on to all the other ones we got in previous generations, you're talking a good 10th of your Pokedex is legendaries.
Uxie, Mesprit, Azelf, Dialga, Palkia, Heatran, Regigigas, Giratina, Cresselia,
Darkrai,
Yone, Manaphy, Darkrai, Shaman, Arceus.
Yeah, at this
Manaphy,
point...
and Fione, so it's 15.
Yeah, at this point, Nintendo is really just throwing letters together and praying it sticks. It's a...
There are a lot of puns, and I wanted to mention this sooner. Obviously, from the very first generation, there are a lot of Pokemon names that are just plays on words, some of which I didn't really realize. You know, like Squirtle, for instance, I always thought, oh yeah, it's a squirting turtle. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then somewhere along the line in the past couple of years, I was like, but wait, that tail that it has, that's not a turtle tail. And then it dawned on me that it's a squirrel tail. So it's a squirtle turtle that squirts and is a squirrel. And I'm like, ah! But they have a lot of...
You've just been Dragon Quested! Ha ha!
Yeah, and so, I mean, there are a lot of Pokemon in the more recent generations that have those too. But there's like every now and then there's some really good ones, and then in between it's like, okay, these are just, word mashes.
Okay, but yeah, like I was gonna say, though, that I think it's fun, though, because I always like to nickname it. I didn't want to go off too much of a tangent, but have any of you ever nicknamed your Pokemon, or did you just go with the regular names they had?
I never nicknamed them.
I never nicknamed them. I just want to pick their names.
No, I did nicknames, although I wasn't very creative with my nicknames. Eventually, as I've watched people play Pokemon, we've come up with some really dumb names.
Yeah, it's always fun for me, because I'm like, okay, one of my favorite ones that I've come up with, I don't know, is Duskull a Generation 1 or Generation 4? Is it 4 or 3?
Oh, 4. 3. You're right.
Well, I just, one day I was like, I'm just gonna call this guy Duskpaw.
I'm a big fan of your name for Groudon.
Oh, yeah, I called him Groupon.
Groupon.
Which I'm never naming a Groudon anything other than Groupon now because it's perfect.
Yeah, and I got a few other ones like the male. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get off too much of a tangent, but this is like really fun for me. A male Lopunny, I called him Bum Larry. I called
Bum Larry's a champ.
Yeah, and I called what was the other one? Bulbasaur was Bulbert. I don't know why. Yeah. And there's one more that I had that was really good, and I don't.
Yeah, maybe we'll try to come up with it.
See, I don't know. I wouldn't have had any sort of thought to that. I just if I bothered naming them, they would have been names like Shithead, Fuckface.
Well, I definitely. The Shithead is literally Panseer, but that's besides the point.
I definitely had some derogatory names for the, like, Bidoof, for instance, and some other Pokemon that I just assessed as useless. But I was watching something about Pokemon the other day, and they were saying the reason they introduced that naming convention where no matter how many Pokemon you can catch, you can name every single one of them, is to cultivate a deeper level of connection with the Pokemon, which, playing through myself, I can say I always feel like that worked for me. Like, yeah, not only is this my Gardevoir, this is my Gardevoir named, Saria, or, whatever else. And anytime, like, I was just at PAX, and they had a Pokemon League, which I didn't even know about, but, going into, but it was so exciting to be part of. And some of the people I played, they're just like, oh, here's my Charizard. And then some of them had just tremendous names, and it always made me light up to see, okay, yeah, I'm not the only one who puts in this time to consider and make a fun name for my Pokemon. It gives a very nice personal touch.
I just found my cartridge, and I put it in, and I have a gold bat named Great Batsby.
That's a good one.
Yeah, anyway, but yeah, it's so much fun. I don't know, you guys should try it sometime, but it's fun to come up with, like, creative names. After a while, it's very hard.
Yeah.
You become like Nintendo, like you're trying to figure out what am I gonna call this guy? You start throwing letters, see what sticks.
Yeah.
Or you could just be the internet trolls, raise a whole bunch of Snorlaxes, name them all your mom, and start tossing them out over the internet.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
That's great. But anyway, yeah, just a little mini tangent to go
tangent.
On.
No.
Rod Stewart, the Togekiss. Yes.
Yeah, there's some really interesting ones. I'll have to. That's for another day.
Yeah. Was there any other major innovations with Diamond and Pearl? I don't think.
I don't think so. I think the next one comes in 5th generation.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm gonna have to, I think, bow out a bit because I only played a tiny bit of the 5th generation, and that's when I gave up. So.
Yeah, and we'll get to. I guess if no one else has anything on 4, we'll jump to Generation 5. Generation 5 is black and white, also on the DS. The black and white came out September 18th, 2010. North America one came out March 6th, 2011. So that's actually a pretty large gap between Diamond and Pearl and Black and White. 4 years.
And you can tell too. I mean, the gameplay is just so much smoother. Like you can tell, okay, they definitely increased the size of, their ability to put more on the same size cartridge.
Yeah. There's also. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was like, your thing's probably going to be what I'm going to talk about. So go ahead.
What 5th generation did, at least as far as why I personally really love this generation, what is my personal favorite, is all the Pokemon in the main game were exclusive to 5th generation.
Yes.
So everything was new. Everything was new. So
which 3rd gen did that too, but not as well.
No, not as well. I mean, you still could catch a few old ones, I do believe, but my recollection of that is not really good. However, not only that, but this is to satisfy my hoarding, is TMs are reusable. Technical machines are reusable.
Yeah.
And that really helped me out because it's like, oh god, I only have one use of this. I gotta use it wisely. Now it's just like, and you get work up, and you get work up, and you get work up.
You get Psybeam, you get Psybeam, you get Psybeam.
Gets psychic.
For everyone.
Yeah. But I don't know psychic moves. Too bad. You're going to learn them now.
And the final reason why I like Black and White so much, and I'm not sure I would want this for every single Pokemon game, but this one also, I believe, had one of the deepest stories of the bunch.
Oh, yeah.
With the villainous team this time being Team Plasma, also known as PETA, the Pokemon edition. But they were just, for me, they were a very easy to hate group, but they actually had their reasons, and depending who you were, made you think about what exactly you were doing in the game. But ultimately, the objectives were still the same: collect 8 badges, challenge champion, yada yada. But 5th generation was really, really rock solid, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love the notion that the rival, or it's not even your rival necessarily, but the person that you're pitted against, and you don't really feel any animosity toward him. I mean, Team Plasma as a whole you find is corrupt and they're exploiting N, but N is a kid who was raised by Pokemon, and he can talk to them and he can sympathize with them, and you're like the flip side of him, where you're able to see all the things that can come out of collaborative battling and teamwork with Pokemon. He's like, oh, these Pokemon that I've grown up with were always free, and they were able to do their own thing, and there's this sense that that neither of you are wrong, and you come to a bigger understanding about the interaction between humans and Pokemon, which is really, really, it's like they actually put some thought into it. They got someone to really flesh out the world, and I love that. The story of Black and White are definitely my favorite. My favorite games overall, which we'll get to, are Black and White 2, but the story in Black and White are unrivaled. The story is unrivaled.
I think there's the reason why Black and White is so liked is there's three main reasons why. One, we shift away from the overhead view into a three-dimensional looking third-person view.
Yeah.
So you see a lot more depth, and there's that illusion of seeing a larger world around you.
Yeah, you'll walk into to the main city, Castelia, I think, and it'll zoom out, and you see how small you are and how big.
You're on a bridge. You're on the bicycle bridge, riding up the bicycle ramp, and the camera zooms out, and you're this like. You see yourself on the bridge with other people walking across it, and it's basically like you're literally walking into like like you yourself are walking into a large city.
Yeah, the world feels so much more realized, and there's cars and trains going by, and it's just so cool.
Gold and Silver also introduced a season cycle along with the day-night cycle.
Huh.
Black and White.
Black and White. I'm sorry, Black and White. Black and White. I'm sorry. I meant to say Gold and Silver introduced day-night. Black and White introduced seasonal cycle.
Yeah.
Yep. And I thought the seasonal thing was interesting, but it wasn't the part that really got me thinking Black and White was really good.
Yeah, I mean, especially because a season is a month, which I guess makes sense, so you're not like, okay, I gotta wait 9 months until it snows again. But it wasn't as... It didn't jump into the gameplay as much. It was like a nice secondary effect. Yeah.
I think the third reason is, like you mentioned earlier, that you have 156 Pokemon, and those are the Pokemon you find in the area. It's only after you beat the game, then you get the National Pokedex, that more Pokemon from the National Pokedex start showing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's quite literally called a Pokemon swarm.
Yes.
Yeah. And
it's nothing new. It was from other generations as well, but it was finally that. Oh, here's a whole bunch of the other ones that you couldn't find earlier.
Yeah. And in ways that fourth generation and most of third generation, again, I'll have to check later, but I do think when Ruby and Sapphire came out, it was just those Pokemon, but I think the big weakness of that one was the system wasn't as refined and the Pokemon were not as diverse. There were fewer of them, they were not as interesting, and the system was not as refined. So having the same concept done just so much more successfully and made fifth generation a great experience. Like you're forced to get to know these new Pokemon, and yes, Roggenrola is a Geodude, and yes, Girder is Machoke and he looks ridiculous, but by and large, fifth generation has so many Pokemon to get to know and love that it doesn't hurt as much to be missing Pikachu and all those other ones that you've seen 1,000 times by now anyway. It was very refreshing.
Now, this was the generation that I came to realize, well, my first thought was, wait a minute, people are still playing this?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. This came out just before I went to my very first PAX East in 2011.
Aha.
And so, Gabe, you mentioned at the end of the first half, the whole community aspect.
Yes.
Which is something that kind of punched me in the face at PAX East, being that this was the first one that I had gone to. Now, my first mistake was I think I was probably the only one at the entire convention with a PSP. I know, Nick.
Yeah, there's an issue there.
You were the one person who brought your PSP and you went, wow, I feel like an idiot.
Well, I brought the PSP for the internet connectivity because I didn't have a smartphone at that point. So I brought it so I could update on Facebook and things like that. So I wasn't, but I saw not only thousands upon thousands of DSs, but this but this had just come out, so everyone was playing it, and I was like, wait, I'm 25 years old. People haven't grown out of this shit yet.
And if anything, it's grown bigger.
Yeah, I was just like, holy fuck! Because the last time I had played this game, I was 15. Now I'm 25, and people are still. What the fuck? How is this still popular? And Jesus Christ, it's the same fucking game. What are we at? We're at 649 Pokemon at this point, and I'm just like, this is still attractive, but again, with the advent of the internet, this just brought the Pokemon fan base to a whole new level, because you didn't need the link cables anymore. Now you had the internet. Now you could beat the shit out of each other online, and
well, to go into a little more on that community thing that you talked about, Brian, I think it's not just, hey, we have the internet now, but it's, data miners were able to really break down the science of how everything works. And considering that it's all math. It's all math. And any number cruncher like myself is just going, oh, I can just, the numbers game behind it for me is what makes the series continue to be enthralling and interesting. To just see, okay, well, the 120 base power with this base 90 power move can do this kind of damage. That kind of thing is really, for some people, that's still is what keeps them going, keeps them interested to see these changes, to see how Nintendo balances itself out. Realizing, oh shit, we made dragons way too powerful. We need something to counterbalance that. And just to see, this cat and mouse game of how to make everything so balanced, I think is why some people continue to be in Pokemon as they are today.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fair. But I mean, at this point, I was still like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's still immensely popular. I see that it still has a lot of fans, but. And I did so. I was doing some research on it, contemplating, do I want to get back into Pokemon? And ultimately, I decided, nope. To me, it was still to me, it was just personal opinion. Just to me, it felt like more of the same. So it's just like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I would say my very favorite, since we're on 5th generation anyway, my very favorite game that I've played in the whole series is Pokemon Black 2, and Black and White did almost everything right, in that they fine-tuned all of the prior mechanics. They added a ton of great Pokemon, and actually, if you consider, obviously there are some stinkers in 5th generation, but if you really think about it, there are some shitty Pokemon in every generation.
You're always going to have a shitty Pokemon in every gen.
Their ratio of awesome Pokemon to shitty-looking Pokemon who are just wastes of Pokedex space has never been higher in the favorable, in my opinion, than 5th generation ever since the series started, other than maybe 2nd generation, because 2nd generation was almost perfect with the 100 they added. But I
don't know. I'm going to challenge you on that and say 6th generation also had a very high useful Pokemon to useless Pokemon ratio.
Yeah, but I think since there's twice as many Pokemon in Black and White that are added to it versus 6th generation, I think it's a much more impressive feat. Like, yeah, there are great Pokemon in 6th generation, but there are twice as many of all the Pokemon that they added in 5th, and 5th has that advantage of having that isolated feeling where you get to know all of them without having, every other trainer's got a Pikachu or one of those other Pokemon that you've seen 1,000 times. But Black and White 2 expands Unova, which is already a huge region, by adding 3 more towns, or 3 or 4 more towns, 3 different gyms and leaders. It refines a bunch of areas in the way that Gold and Silver were very much sequels to Red and Blue, in that they were literally set 2 years later and things had changed in both Johto and Kanto. Unova is set in the same amount of time that it took between Black and Black 2.
2 years.
Yeah, Unova is set 2 years forward, and areas that you've gone to and explored are completely changed because people have been renovating and moving in and moving out, and there was this landslide or what have you. The region that already felt so much alive in Black and White feels that much more realized because it grew with you, and they added more areas. And the one weakness in terms of the areas that you did have in Black and White, the northeast corner, which was very dead and empty, is alive with new content, new people to fight, new places to go. And on top of that, there's Join Avenue, which allows you to interact with all the people you ever street pass, or whatever they called it back then. You have all sorts of ways to bolster your Pokemon and expand upon your team, quick train your Pokemon, whatever else in Join Avenue. And Black and White Forest, which was a great idea but poorly executed concept in Black and White, where if you didn't continue to meet people, the Black City or White Forest would just shrivel up and die. In Black 2 and White 2, that does not happen. It's a whole new area where you can just keep challenging yourself and raising your Pokemon to higher and higher levels, because it's a never-ending battle challenge, that you can just keep going to. And the Pokemon World Tournament, and I'm gonna take a breather.
Yeah, the PWT was awesome.
Oh God, so cool.
For those who don't know, the Pokemon World Tournament was a place you go to fight trainers from around the world. Now, this includes gym leaders from previous games, Brock, Misty, Giovanni, and includes all the old Elite Four all the Elite Four people, including the champions. So you can fight Cynthia, Steve, or Lance.
Blue, Lance, Red.
Yeah.
And Wallace, and just all of them. And it's so cool, and I want it again. I want it now. And Black 2 added a Pokemon search feature, which is, I think, unrivaled as well in the whole series of Pokemon, except maybe in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where the Pokedex will go region by region and tell you, okay, there's 7 Pokemon that you have not caught in this region. Go here, complete that. We will reward you as you go through. And it's for that reason, combined with all the other extra things to do that made gameplay not get as stale, that despite the fact that it is 649 Pokemon, Black 2 is the first time I ever completed the Pokedex.
Jesus Christ. I've been playing Pokemon for 20 years, and I don't think I've ever completed the Pokedex.
I completed the Pokedex once back back at the very beginning, 150 American, gotta remember. Yeah. But after that, I never did it again, never even come close.
How can you? There's 600... Oh.
And that's what is so impressive about Black 2 and White 2 is I played it for 240 hours according to the cartridge, maybe a little longer, I can't remember.
Right.
And I did not feel like I was wasting time almost ever, because there's always something new to do. You can challenge, you can track down the gym leaders whenever, which is not a new concept, but it's better executed. You can track down the gym leaders, and they'll all go to Cynthia's summer resort in that Undella town or wherever the hell it is.
Yep.
It's a beach resort for those who don't know.
And you can go into the beach resort, and all the gym leaders are waiting for you. There may be like 10 of them just chilling, and they're like, "Hey, we've been waiting for you. Time to whoop your ass." And you're like, "All right, I brought all these Pokemon that I want to train," and you get to play the best. You get to play off against the best characters that the entire series from Gen 1 to Gen 5 had to offer, which is their gym leaders, their champions, and their elites. And you can play them as often as you want, and half the time you can gain experience from them as well.
And money.
And so you're not at a lack for resources. You're not at a lack for new things to do, or there's a variety enough of all the things that are available that, okay, I'm sick and tired of battling at the Pokemon World Tournament. I'm going to take some time to do, to explore this region, because all of a sudden it's winter time again and the water is frozen over, and I can finally get that item that I needed, but I forgot about. And they gave you so much to do. On top of that, N from Black and White, all of the Pokemon that he trained with are hidden throughout the region. You can find them and catch them and have N's personal Pokemon in your team. So there's a continuity between the previous game. There's a load of content, even the things that aren't as the movie studio, I can't remember what they call it, but you can make Pokemon movies for like 10 and 20 hours, which I didn't do excessively, but you can just go on and on in Black and White 2, and they gave you so many different things to do that as soon as one thing gets stale, the previous thing has been refreshed. And it's the best balance of gameplay, I think, that they've ever struck.
240 hours. I can only imagine, Brittany like, "Hey, Gabe, come on, time to go to bed." No!
Yeah. To get Reggie Ice.
There is no Bulbasaur, only Zool. I just...
But there is incentive to go route by route and say, okay, Pokedex, did I complete this route? And it says, no, you're missing 2 Pokemon, and those Pokemon are in the water, and those Pokemon can only be caught using a good rod. And it's like, oh shit, no wonder I missed them before, but this Pokedex is telling me how to get them. You don't have to have all the peripherals going online, going here, going there, to track down the Pokemon. You don't have to do a whole bunch of exploits to get them. There's a handful you have to send from previous generations, but you can do it in like a minute and a half versus like poking along and pressing all the buttons for 10 minutes, 6 at a time. And like 4th generation, they only let you do 6 a day. Which
Hey Siri, where can I find this book anyway?
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to mention anything about Black and White or Black 2, White 2?
No, I think Gabe just molded over completely.
Yeah, I think too. That's why I'm like, did we miss anything?
I have so much positive regard for Black and White 2. It was the last one that really said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep loving Pokemon, even if I go back to nothing else. This is just a tremendous experience as a game. It was Black 2. My playthrough of Black 2 was excellent. And I would, for anyone who's like, yeah, the Pokemon are stupid, I haven't played it since 1999. If you're gonna play any, I would say Black 2 or White 2, personally. But, you know, obviously then you miss out on the most current gen, but that's a different story.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to go to next, is Pokemon X and Y. This is the 6th generation. This was on the 3DS. They finally synchronized their release schedule.
Yes.
Worldwide release, October 12th of 2013. The area takes place in the Kalos region.
Yes.
Kalos, sorry.
Kalos.
I double checked this to make sure. Region 5 is Unova. It's based on New York.
Yep.
Kalos region is based on France.
Yep.
Yeah.
Specifically the Paris
and they
area.
do not let you forget that.
Oh yeah, they drown you in the French bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh.
God.
It's like, oh look, my few years of actually taking French are actually starting to pay off somewhat.
Well,
Yeah, and they have the not Eiffel Tower, which is called the what the fuck is the tower called?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
The Tower of Infinite Paris-related gimmick, I believe, is what it's called.
I forget what it's called. But a couple things got added in this one. First, and probably most important, they added the fairy type and rebalanced some of their older Pokemon that were normal types to be fairies.
And they are mofos. having played against some fairy Pokemon at PAX by the PAX Pokemon League, which was awesome, I just got bowled over by all the fairy types.
I think they kind of overtuned the fairy types to specifically just be like, yeah, all those dragon types, all those dark types you've been using, and those fighting types, yeah, you're gonna get shit on real hard now.
But here's the best part. It was like, the fairy types, alright, well, what beats a fairy? Oh, steel and poison, you know, the two types you never freaking use. Have fun!
Yeah, the only, like, you may have Steel Wing because you're using Skarmory, which is, like, the only, like, decently good Steel type Pokemon.
And Metagross.
And Metagross.
And Lucario.
And, okay, fair enough, Lucario, but that's goddamn Lucario, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Prism Tower.
Lucario's part fighting, so...
Uh-huh.
Prism Tower is what you're looking for.
What was the name of it?
Prism Tower.
Prism Tower, thank you. You also get the introduction of something called Mega Evolutions.
Oh!
This is... It takes a while to get to in the game, which is a bit unusual. Usually they throw the new mechanic at you right away. But... like, it's 20 hours before you can start using Mega
I don't know, considering how overpowered Mega Evolution is, I'm kinda not surprised.
Yeah, if you've never played it, basically what happens is, if you equip your Pokemon with a requisite stone, called the Mega Stone, it's like Mega Stone Charizard, for example, and you build up enough of a relationship with the Pokemon, and keep him happy and everything like that, you can have him evolve mid-battle, gain a whole bunch. There's a full animation involved, usually like a Sailor Moon type transformation almost.
They essentially go Super Saiyan.
Yeah, they go Super Saiyan. Sometimes they even change their type, and then proceed to wreck face for the next 4 or 5 turns.
Until they either switch out or faint.
Yeah. Or you win the battle. I believe Charizard changes from fire flying to dragon fire.
One of them
it depends
does.
on the stone, yeah.
Okay.
Mega Charizard Y does not. Mega Charizard X is awesome. I mean, does.
Well, yeah, it's both. There's some other ones there too. I forget some of the stones. There's one for Lucario.
That's the first one you get is Lucario's, and you can get Gardevoir. You can get Oh, what's that one Pokemon? It's a steel type. Mawile.
Oh yeah, Mawile is kind of cool again.
No, Mawile became useful.
Yeah. First time. Yeah.
Ampharos got one. Houndoom got one.
There's like 15 or 20 total, I think, in the game.
Something along those lines. Mewtwo got 2 because fuck you. That's why.
Yeah.
Basically, if it is a noteworthy Pokemon that has been used or referenced in the anime, it probably got a Mega Stone.
That sounds about right.
I think the only one that didn't is Pikachu.
Oh my god.
To be fair, it kind of doesn't need one.
They gave you a whole bunch of other types of Pikachu where you can teach your Pikachu Flying Press or teach your Pikachu a Fairy Attack or whatever else.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We don't need Mega Pikachu. Raichu wants to be useful.
Raichu will never be useful.
So
also, Mega Pikachu is just Pikachu with a light ball.
So you choose between Chespin, Fennekin, or Froakie. Chespin is the grass type, Fennekin's the fire type, Froakie is the water type.
And the only type you use.
I use Fennekin, but that's me.
I'm making a joke.
I know.
I like Fennekin and Froakie. I don't care much for Chespin, but that's just me.
You eventually will receive Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle.
Eventually, you'll receive one of each of those guys, I think, don't you, from all the previous generations? Or is that just Omega Ruby?
I think that's just Omega Ruby.
Yeah, I believe you're right on that. I think it's just ORs.
Yeah, one of the really cool things that I can definitely give them props for, after like 3 freaking generations in a row of firefighting as your end game for your starter Pokemon, and where like all the other ones are just, you know, Unitype or whatever, or, you know, I mean, they're not all Unitype, but anyway, they actually counterbalance, their secondary types counterbalance their primary types. Like, so you have Greninja, who is water, but also fighting.
Dark.
Nope, water dark.
Water dark.
Oh, Chestnut is fighting?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and
okay,
Fennekin becomes Fire Psychic, which is an unusual combination, but...
Yeah,
it
so
works.
you have Fire, which is weak against the water aspect, but Psychic, which is...
neutral or good, depending upon what you're fighting against.
But, I mean, like... Let's see. Isn't it that their
No.
typings are backward? Their
Nope.
secondary types are... No, so they're double strung against each
Yep,
of them.
they're double strong.
Okay. But yeah,
so
I thought that was cool.
Greninja now has Dark to, you know, screw over Fennekin even, or whatever its final evolution is, even harder.
Yeah.
And then it gets Ice Beam to just give a nice middle finger to Chestnut, and then the
reason why Greninja is so liked in this one is because of the 4 moves it can learn. It can type itself to be able to beat just about everything. I think the only thing it can't beat is the new Fairy type.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And even then, you can just go Ice Beam.
Yeah, and it can probably learn Poison Jab. It's a frog.
Good question. Can it learn Poison
It's
Jab?
a ninja frog, so I would hope so, but if not, they missed the boat on that.
Because I think it's like Ice Beam, Dark.
No, it does not learn any poison move, period.
What? That's bullshit. Okay.
Anyway, the enemies this time are the villainous Team Flare. Now,
the villainous might be a strong word for them.
okay. At first, you just think they're going to be trying to sell Pokemon like Team Rocket did, but then you eventually find out that their overall goal plan is to kill humanity and keep this planet in a pristine and beautiful state.
Yeah, that was so. I finally, since Pokemon Silver was the last Pokemon game I played, I went, okay, now we're at Pokemon X and Y. It's for the 3DS. It's been a few centuries since I last played Pokemon. Let's pick up Pokemon X and see what's changed. So for me, the jump from Silver to X.
Oh my god!
I went.
You basically went from the Commodore 64 to the PlayStation.
Yeah, I was just in one fell swoop, and upon starting the game, I had to, put on the sarcastic, like, really? When I find out that the professor's name is Sycamore, and I went, okay, we're still keeping the tree theme.
Yeah,
that never left.
I'm like,
that never left.
I'm like, all right, so we had oak and elm and ash. Now we're at sycamore, and I'm waiting for Professor Black Walnut.
Wait, who are all the professors? We got oak, elm.
Now I'm waiting for Professor Larch. It's just, I'm like, all right, we're continuing with that, but
Oak, elm, birch,
oh god,
sycamore,
juniper.
Yeah.
My god. So yeah, that was a bit of a jump, and I'm like, whoa, color. And yes, Team Flare, and I'm like, ooh, well then. And now you made the comment earlier, Nick. PETA much?
Oh, this one was just kind of a. That's not even a good goal. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason why is because the leader is so disillusioned with humanity as a whole, and that he thinks Pokemon are the rightful heirs of the world.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it's been a while since I played X, admittedly.
They've all got split top buttertop hair. It's
this is also, it's just, I'm pretty sure this is the first Pokemon game where you can not only design what your character looks like, but you can customize it with new outfits throughout the game.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is correct. I'm like, okay.
And it's the only one right now because they didn't do that in Omega Ruby or Alpha. So.
No, it's just, I was like, all right, well, that's a nice change, all right. And once again, I don't understand. This is a thing with a lot of games from Japan. The whole, okay, the parents of your player just apparently has no problem just traveling the world unattended. You're what, 12, 13? 10! Oh, even better.
I know in Red and Blue it's 10. I think for this one you are 11.
Oh, big maturity level.
Yeah.
I thought you're more late teens and X and Y.
So 5th generation, you're more like, okay, so the first 4 generations, you're 10 to 11. In 5th generation, you're more like 13, you're in your early teens, and now for X and Y, you're more like 16. So you're a little closer to actually going on an adventure.
And if I remember, you start off the game and you have a little posse, you have a group of friends.
Yeah, so many of them, so many. Who cares about them all?
Yeah, you have 3 friends. One's your actual legitimate rival. One's like the
idiot. Let's be fair.
Yes, he's the idiot, and then one's the fashionista.
Yeah.
And there's the one that wants to teach his Pokemon to dance, and there's the one that's all numbers game like Nick, and there's all and then there's Shauna who's just like, I like to be nice to Pokemon or something. I don't know. Also, in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Greninja can be taught Gunk Shot, which is poison. Just to add to insult to injury for every other Pokemon out there.
Yeah, basically. So it's like I start up Pokemon X and I do a little digging. I'm like 721 Pokemon. Jesus fuck.
We're at what, 722 now?
721.
Nope.
They
22.
announced the 22nd, but we don't know when the 22nd one's going to be coming out.
Yeah.
Admittedly, show of virtual hands here. Who expects Pokemon Z sometime this year?
Who wants Pokemon Z? I want it. I want it now.
Well, Veruca Salt, you're gonna have to wait. It's Pokemon X and Y, and was I the only one who saw those titles and went, Pokemon Chromosomes? But
I think they meant X and Y as like the dimension, and that this is a 3D game, so we're gonna have 3D graphics.
All right, so now we have length, width. We're gonna need height, and then
I said Z. That's why it said Z.
And then we're gonna need length, width, height, then time.
Well, we keep track of time already, so.
Yeah.
No, your character now has a Poke TARDIS. So yeah, Pokemon X. I'm going through, and just for my own personal spiel, my experiences playing through it. I mean, again, because this was Pokemon Silver to X, because I hadn't played all of the games before it, I had felt that the difficulty plummeted. Because I got through the Elite Four like a hot knife through butter. I just mowed them, and the champion just mowed them all down, and I'm like, whoa, that was easy.
Yeah,
holy fuck, the difficulty curve.
That's an especially big problem for X and Y. That was one of the reasons I did not enjoy it.
Okay, so it's not just me.
No, X and Y is a huge drop-off, especially having just come off of my never-ending rabbit hole of Black 2, where you just get harder and harder challenges. Then I picked up X and Y, and it's like, the Elite Four only have 4 Pokemon, because they're the Elite Four! I was like, no, they suck. They're all at level 40. And
I think the reason why is that the plot of X and Y, like, you fight the guys in Team Flare, and it like the leader of Team Flare is like a level 50 Pokemon.
Yeah.
And like you get to the Elite Four and you're like, wait, why do you schmucks have like 45s? Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, it was gameplay wise, like in terms of difficulty, in terms of story, compared to 5th gen, it was such a letdown. The like Mega Evolution is cool and all, and the new Pokemon are cool and all, but it's like and third dimensionality is cool, but it's like, oh, but it's so sorry, Nick, go on.
I had a slightly different experience from you guys when it came to X and Y, because I kind of, I picked up the things I liked, and I had at least had a half a mind for looking at stats without looking at the entire data dump of the game. But I typically avoided, unless I actually actively wanted to catch the Pokemon, I typically avoided the random battles, which made me woefully underleveled for the Elite Four, for Leader of Team Flare, for the final boss, and really made it a challenge to me, where I actually lost it the first time through. I actually had to rematch. But I do have a little bit of a different experience. But then again, it all depends on what you do with the game, and you might have a whole bunch of type disadvantages, but you can overcome any of them with just enough leveling, enough grinding. Right. So I take that whole, I breeze through the Elite Four, I breeze through my rivals. I take all that with a pinch of salt, honestly. And that even goes with my breeze through of the original Red and Blue, because I went through all the level grinding. I sat there for 10 hours and grinded. So your mileage varies.
Yeah, sorry, go on, sorry.
So just kind of the finish, so I really enjoyed how X and Y went through its game, yeah, okay, the villainous team was stupid. Let's not beat around the bush. It was stupid.
Especially
but the regional decks, largest ever. It had a lot of variety. You could pick and choose what kind of team you wanted to raise, and there really was no universally strong accepted team. And the game really made me think of what do I want to use and how do I want to use it? It continually fed me, okay, here's more.
Yeah. I can appreciate that, and I would say if anyone out there listening is like, I want to pick up X and Y, definitely do it, but big caveat, I would not play it with the experience share, which is now the experience all, like in general.
Oh god, I don't know, I didn't use that at all.
Do not use that. That was why it was so freaking easy, because it's not like it divides all of the experience around everybody. It literally just says, okay, you guys were on the team that won, so you get the experience too. So a Pokemon that's worth 100 experience is now worth 600 experience across 6.
No, I did not use that at all throughout the whole game.
Yeah, I made the mistake of just sort of, okay, yeah, and it was on. And by the time I was like, you know what? It's so easy all of a sudden. It was too late, and it never got hard again.
And I think that was probably the problem I had as well, because when I got that, I was like, I don't remember getting this so early in the game. I don't remember getting EXP all so early. And so I'm like, okay, then, and I was hoping that because you got it so early, I thought that the game would compensate for that with, the Elite Four and the Champion Challenge, and I was so wrong, and it was incredibly disappointing. And just for somebody who hadn't played Pokemon in over a decade, I saw personally no reason for me to continue. I played through Pokemon X, and after I was done with it, I went, well, it's been almost 20 years. Nothing has changed. All right.
Yeah, I would definitely, now that we're talking about this, I'm personally considering either just playing Brittany's copy of X, which she has not even touched, and just ignoring the experience share, or just trading all my Pokemon to Omega Ruby and playing it over without that, because it really ruined the challenge of the game. And let's be honest, for an adult to go through a game that's just gonna, be kids gloving it the whole time, which is essentially what happens if you've used the experience share, you're screwed. The game's not fun. But I really yearn to have that fun time that Nick is describing, and I think it's possible. Like he said, there's a huge world, there's a huge amount of Pokemon to choose from, so by all accounts it should be better than it was for me.
And I forgot what my final team was for that. I know I had a Greninja, I know I had an Aegislash, which that Pokemon was just awesome. I love that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, but I forgot what else I ran in my team. Oh, I ended up having a Raichu again because the game just literally, shitted out to me the best possible Pikachu I ever could have had. I just caught it just for the sake of filling out my decks, and I looked at it and was like, wait, it's like best possible nature, like best possible stat lines, and it's holding a light ball. I got the 5% rare drop. I was like,
what?
Yeah, I was like, well, fuck it. I have a Pikachu now.
That's awesome.
I was just one of those, well, yeah, I got it. Might as well use it.
Yeah.
I forgot what else I used in that game. I know I ended up having... I know I raised like a shit ton of Pokemon in that game. I know I have a really good Pyroar that I named after the first boss of Super Mario Land. I forgot its name, but yeah, basically named it that because I was like, it kind of looks like the Fire Lion from Super Mario Land.
Yeah, I got a Halucha in a wonder trade from Japan, and that was all she wrote. My Halucha is...
Oh yeah, I did have a Halucha in mine.
Halucha is one of the coolest Pokemon of all, I think. So
although, how does it help you fly? All I can imagine is a German suplex from hell of just Halucha!
Yeah.
It just suplex you, buries you in the ground.
Yeah.
But I really like the Pokemon they introduced in 6th generation. As I've gone through it, there's only a few that really just made me go, I don't care much for, but almost all of them I thought were really interesting and valuable additions. Even simple things like Pumpkaboo, I thought had was a really good Pokemon that when it evolved to Gourgeist.
Yeah.
That it even had different sizes, and different sizes would be different stats. I thought that was a really interesting concept.
And Pumpkaboo and Trevenant both have the ability to temporarily give your opponent a third type. One of them gives them Ghost, and one of them gives them Grass. And I think, obviously, giving your opponent Grass type is like a death sentence. Because Grass is weak to, like, everything.
Flying, fire, ice, yeah.
Yeah, so, which is super cool. There's never been the ability to use an attack on your opponent and, sucks to be you. You used to be immune to all of these things or really strong against them. Now you're weak to them. Suck it. And it's, like, really cool.
What was the move called that would allow them to do that, or was it?
I can't remember, but Gourgeist, I think, is the one that makes your opponents assume the Ghost type as a third type, and I think Trevenant is Grass, but it could be the other way around. I'll have to check while we're chatting.
Yeah, I don't. I didn't use either Pokemon, so this would be foreign.
Yeah, I didn't either, but they're just conceptually awesome.
A lot of it were, Nintendo had a bunch of really good ideas. The hidden third ability for Pokemon, or hidden second ability for Pokemon that you could only get in certain methods. 5th generation had it too, but 6th generation made it a lot more intuitive.
Yeah. Here you go. Sorry. Go on. I'll tell you in a minute. No, go ahead, because I think you and I are thinking the same thing. Oh, I was just talking about the attack, the Forest Curse, so you go on.
Oh, okay, it's a Forest Curse, or...
Forest's Curse is only learned by Phantump and Trevenant. The user put
afflicted targets. Okay, I see it. Yeah,
afflicted targets Grass type as well as their other types.
Really good in the doubles format. I don't think it would be for anything else, but no, it learns X Scissors, so that and base 110 attack. That could be a pretty good combination.
Yeah, and Pumpkaboo does the same thing except with Trick or Treat, which adds Ghost to the target's type. And there's never been any other Pokemon to do that, and it's super cool.
Changing types is interesting, and also the weather effects will also affect certain moves now.
Yeah,
I think that was in Gen. They added weather in 3. I want to say they added something in 5 to make it better.
They may have.
Like, I believe if it's thunderstorm, if it's raining, thunder now is 100% chance to hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sunbeam is fires constantly. If it's sunny.
Yeah. So in a sunny day, if it's bright sunlight, then Solar Beam only takes 1 turn. Can fire that turn instead of taking 2 turns. However, in rainy weather, it will now double the number of turns. So it'll be 4 turns.
Yikes.
Yeah.
In rainy weather, Hurricane is also, I believe, either 100% accuracy or a one-turn move.
Yeah.
One of the two. Ice, Blizzard is 100% accuracy. In Sandstorm, any rock-type Pokemon, their special defense is increased by 50%.
Damn.
So there are some good secondary effects to weather as well.
There's
And
almost rain, too.
So if you can make some mix and match some teams to take advantage of weather effects, it really can help you out in battles.
There's terrain effects, too, with, like, Caltrops and spiked poison Caltrops and things like that.
And fucking
Yeah.
floating stones. I forgot the move, but I hate that thing so much.
Where if they swap Pokemon around or you force them to switch, then they come in and take damage or get poisoned or what have you.
Then there were those terrain moves, like the grassy terrain and the fairy terrain that changed something or other about what moves did.
Twisted space reverses speed, I think, so the slower you are, the faster
Oh
you
yeah, Trick Room.
Yeah, some of those are a few generations back, but another one of the things that they added in 5th gen, which was very gimmicky in the way that double battles were in 3rd gen, was triple battles and rotation battles. But 6th generation, they really bring triple battles into it more. Like, I feel like there's more triple battles. There's still, you almost never see rotation battle, which is a shame because it's a lot of fun. But 6th
it definitely makes you think, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Rotation battles. It's like, god, are they gonna rotate or are they gonna actually keep? Yeah, it's very chess.
Yeah, during PAX, my best match that I had was a rotation battle, and it was so much fun. And my second best match was two triple battles against the same person, both of which I lost by like a hair. Or no, I won a triple. Okay, anyway.
In the interest of like the time, is there anything else you guys want to mention about Gen 6, or can we go to spin-offs?
Yeah, I was gonna say they added inverse battles, which are, considering they already added a new type that is impossible to keep track of, it's like, what do I do? But that was really...
Yeah, I hate inverse battles.
I will grow to love them, though.
I'm ready to move on to the last part of this.
Yeah. So for the last part, we're going to talk about a bunch of the spin-off games that came out and are associated with Pokemon, but are not directly related to any of the mainstay titles. So this would include things like Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and
Pinball. Can't forget Pinball.
Pokemon Puzzle Challenge.
Yeah.
Oh god, Tetris Attack Pokemon Edition.
I know.
Troze.
I used to love that game.
I mean, once I realized it was like, oh, it's Tetris Attack for the N64. It lost its interest, but it was like, oh, okay, it's Pen of the Pun again. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
The only two Pokemon spin-offs that I had actually ever played, I played Pokemon Stadium, and I had there was a Pokemon pinball game for the Game Boy Color.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pokemon Pinball.
And I loved it.
Yeah. It was good.
I really loved it. It was just because, I mean, I also love Sonic Spinball. So,
Oh, yeah. So you and I were from the same vein on that one, Brian.
So, I just love Pokemon Pinball. But other than that, I think I had Pokemon Stadium just by virtue of the fact that I owned an N64. And it somehow materialized into my collection. And because I was like, ooh, Pokemon battles on a bigger screen and in more color and not sprites.
Yeah.
And then you realize the rental system is garbage. Although, do you guys follow Twitch.tv?
On occasion.
Yes.
So some people know Twitch plays Pokemon.
Yes.
Okay, have you seen the Pokemon Battle Rev Twitch plays Pokemon?
No.
okay, so this guy made a randomizer of making 2 different teams of 3 to compete in a battle rev system, and then people could type into the chat, like, what team do they want to be on, like, to make bets, and then help input the moves of whatever, you know, the rental Pokemon are. Number 1, there are some really uneven matchups, and number 2, I have seen some bullshit happen on that. I've seen a Regice, a Pidgeot, and a Rhyperior get walled out by a Sunkern. By a Sunkern! It's you know, watching that and watching, like, you know, what the rental system is, especially now that there's natures and abilities, and you see a modest Rhydon and you go, what made you think that was a good idea? Well, who at Game Freak looked at the base statistics of a Rhydon and said, you know what would be a great nature for it? Modest. Cut its best stat for one of its worst. And then add Fire Blast to it because, again, great idea.
So, looking at there's some of the spin-off games. I'm just going to go down the list here. From Generation 1, we've got Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Puzzle League, and Hey You, Pikachu.
Oh god, I forgot that was a thing. It had a microphone, didn't it?
Yes, it had a microphone.
What the hell to do?
Yep.
You see, that's the kind of stuff we should not be allowed to have as adults now.
Generation 2, we have Pokemon Stadium 2. That's it. Generation 3, which is on the GameCube, Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon Box Ruby Sapphire, Pokemon Channel, and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
The Coliseum games were always really good because it was strictly double battles, and it helped you get some of the Pokemon you wouldn't otherwise get out of Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Yeah. And after doing some research, yes, the 3rd generation Pokemon were exclusive in those games.
I thought so.
Yes, so, you're correct. It was Coliseum and Fire Red and Leaf Green that helped you get back all the stuff. Yeah,
and they were fun. I think they're overlooked a lot, but they have a different mechanic going on. I mean, it's very peripheral. It's the main point of the game, but it's not like it affects anything else. It's the advent of shadow Pokemon. These are Pokemon whose hearts have been closed artificially, and so all they can do are these shadow attacks, which I think a lot of them hurt themselves. And
it's just one. It's typeless.
Shadow Blitz or whatever. But yeah, their moves are locked off, and it's literally like, okay, Pokemon as a tool for fighting. This is what would happen if they were exclusively used that way. And it was just in the same way that 5 made you think, Black and White made you think. It also made you think about the nature of your interaction with Pokemon, and in a really nice way. And there were some tedious parts, but also some really fun moments in it. Plus, you get to start Coliseum with a Espeon and an Umbreon, so that's awesome.
2 very good Pokemon right at the start. It was nice to have.
At level 30.
Generation 4, we got Pokemon Battle Revolution, My Pokemon Ranch, Pokemon Rumble, and Poke Park Wii Pikachu's Adventure. Generation 5, we've got Poke Park 2, Wonders Beyond, and Pokemon Rumble U. Generation 6, we're going to have a Pokken Tournament, which I believe is actually going to be a fighting game.
It is made by Namco, and which are the people that made Tekken, and Pokken Tournament is literally Tekken Pokemon style.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will play it strictly for the purpose that Luchador Pikachu can give a Stone Cold Stunner. This to me is hilarious.
And then eventually, Pokemon Go is coming out.
Yes.
It's going to be a mobile app game. Yeah, the mobile app game.
So
where you can catch
everyone realizes that we're going to find Arceus in the Vatican, right?
Probably. That would make sense. So.
And we'll have to battle the Pope to get him.
Yes.
But I think that's like most of the spin-off games where they're like tangentially related to the Pokemon name.
Yeah, don't forget Detective Pikachu: A Birth of a New Duo.
Yeah, the point-and-click adventure game.
Voiced by Danny DeVito.
Yes, this needs to happen.
And are there any like closing thoughts on Pokemon series as a whole? What we see from it? What we want to see more from it?
I think they're going in the right direction now, where they're trying to really focus on the community aspect of Pokemon more than ever. I mean, they've perfected all their mechanics. They've balanced it out. 2 separate generations now, 2nd and 6th, where they've really got a good balance going. I think Pokemon Go is really exciting because it makes it closer and closer to real life. Not, obviously it's a game, but just the integration and the crossover between game and real life is really interesting. And there's nothing more than I ever wanted as a kid than for Pokemon to be real, or to be able to find Pokemon in the real world. And it's taken 20 years, and here they are. And I don't know whether it's going to be a greatly executed game, but I have high hopes for it, and my expectations will probably cause me great pain, but I'm really hoping for it.
It'll be interesting to see if Pokemon Go has any sort of interaction with the main series games. Something that I want to see come out of the main Pokemon series as we're moving forward. I would like to see now a main series game on a console. We've gotten it on handhelds for a long time, and now with the advent of the Nintendo NX coming out, and the rumor of it being some of this handheld console hybrid, I think that would be the first major step in that direction. And especially if the NX, if the rumor is true, that it will interact with PCs and mobile devices, I would like to see Pokemon Go interact with 7th Gen of... You can bring your 7th Gen Pokemon with you in Pokemon Go to help catch those Pokemon you see in Pokemon Go and transfer them back into the 7th generation game, even if you can't find them in the 7th Gen game, or say, it's a real bastard to get to a legendary, or get to a Pokemon that, is, a 5% chance encounter rate, then you can just go, oh, look, I can find it in Go. And then to capture it there and bring it to your game.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think the one way Pokemon Go could really, really disappoint me is if it's like, okay, we just have a generic assignment of numbers to each of the Pokemon, where it's not like every Pokemon you catch has a different set of IVs and EVs and whatever. Yeah. If it's just like, okay, every Charizard you catch is the same Charizard, I will be incredibly disheartened.
It could even be something like Poke Radar, where it's just, it's the same, and it's just
presets. Yeah. I would be really frustrated if they did that, because it's got so much potential. But the good thing is they can always update it.
I would like to second the idea of it being on a console, if for nothing else than the fact that we could have all the regions connected.
Wouldn't
it be fun if you could be like, for Generation 7, it's like, it's not just Generation 7, they introduced some new Pokemon, but it's not just like you start in a new region. Generation 7 is choose your starting location. And it's like you choose one of the starting towns from one of the previous generations.
Well, you could still have a new region, just have the option to travel to all those regions.
Yeah, but like I feel like it would be better for me is if you could choose where you started, go through the gym best system that way, become the Pokemon champion of that region, and then go to the new region of Region 7, where there's a bunch of new Pokemon and all the trainers from the previous areas are now there, and that you're fighting trainers who have once been Pokemon champions themselves.
Yeah, if that was on a console, they would have enough space to do it, and I don't think I'd ever buy another game. I would just
imagine it being like it would almost be like an MMO in a certain aspect.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think if Nintendo could do that on the Nintendo NX, if that's how Nintendo wants to push their system, that would be a pretty good way for them to make money. I think.
Yeah, I would be setting aside my money now if I knew they
Not
could
to
do
mention
it.
the fact that it would probably be a completionist's wet dream.
Oh my god.
It would be 600 hours later. You've now finally caught all 730 Pokemon or whatever they
112, who knows?
or whatever, and then Nintendo's like, hey, guess what?
Gen 8.
2 points.
Gen 8 DLC.
Yeah.
Basically. So it's the Pokemon franchise isn't going anywhere. It's Nintendo's second most profitable. It's been around for 20 years. There's still a massive fan base, a huge demand for it, and it's. But I think I would actually, after I finished Pokemon X, I decided, what? In 20 years, it's been nothing but the same. But I might be intrigued by a console edition.
Yeah.
I might. But, don't quote me on that. So, I think maybe for the very last thing, and let's not spend 20 years on this. There's 721 of them, but favorite Pokemon?
Oh.
I had to look at a list. For me, I remember this was mentioned previously. For me personally, it's going to be one of the Dragon types. I am a Dragon trainer, so
sorry, finish.
Probably Dragonite, just because it's like the first dragon.
The OD of the OG.
Yeah.
For me, it would always be. I gave this a lot of thought of what my Pokemon I would have, and it would be the Pokemon that, if I ever got one as a, for my starter and work and train and go with, this would be the Pokemon that best resembles me, best resembles who I am, and what I've gone through. Mine would probably be the Cubone line, Cubone and Marowak. That would probably be for me.
All right.
Are you calling yourself a bonehead?
I'm calling myself. I would totally understand the lonely Pokemon.
Yeah.
I would probably go with Pidgeot. I love birds.
Bird Jesus.
Praise bird Jesus.
I love birds, and Pidgeot is. You don't want to run into one when it's barreling down at you. It's a. You really don't.
Yeah, so all you guys picked first generations.
Of course I did.
Let's see. I'm a big fan of Hawlucha, but it's still too new. I haven't spent as much time. I love Leavanny from 5th generation. That's definitely one of my top 3. I'm gonna have to give the nod to Gardevoir, who's been my longest standing favorite. Although Gallade is also amazing, and I'm glad that they added him. And Mega Gallade is cooler than Mega Gardevoir. But Gardevoir is definitely my favorite, I think, overall, and the other ones I mentioned are very, very close behind.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a top 3 as well. I mean, I love the Aegislash line. I love, there's a lot of really cool lines.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the one that fits me the best.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. How about you, Brittany?
Okay, so I think I'm just gonna have to give this one to the one that's been my clear favorite from the beginning, which is Jigglypuff. because I don't really. There's so many. There's like 600 something, 700. How many are there?
721 now.
721?
722 with the addition of Magiana.
There's no way I could pick like just one unless I go from like. Because as soon as I started playing the other games, I was like, oh, I like this one too. Oh, I love this one, you know? And so I think I'm just going to have to go with Jigglypuff because that's the only one I remember truly when I was a kid being like, this Pokemon is me. It's all about me. Like, I don't know.
And to addendum on that thing, what's your favorite starters? Like the starter Pokemon?
I always not like let them go, but I always abandon my starters halfway through. So that's.
I have a favorite. For sure.
Right.
The one that's been with me through thick and thin, except for version 1 because it's a second generation. Chikorita. To Meganium. I call it. Chikorita, Bayleaf, Meganium. I've called her last time. I called her Salad, but. She's my fave.
Yeah. Meganium's pretty cool.
Meganium, yeah.
Grass type for the win.
Mm-hmm. I'm probably either Typhlosion or Empoleon.
Ooh.
One of those two. I love both.
Actually, to add to that, for me, I think Torchic to Blaziken line is second, maybe?
Blaziken is a beat.
For me, as much as I like the Charmander to Charizard line, I like the Torchic to Blaziken line more. Because it's literally a chicken on fire that kicks the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great and it's so cool looking. I never thought they could make a chicken look good, but they did.
Yeah, and not in the delicious. I'm going to slather you in barbecue and fry you up nice sense.
Blaze chicken.
I'm just glad no one's picking Infernape. That thing, it looks like it looks like a clown.
Although one shout out, Doug, who was going to be on this, but then life happened and he got busy. He definitely wanted a shout out for Wartortle.
Yeah, I love that line.
I mean, the Squirtle Wartortle Blastoise line's fine. It's just, again, water type.
come on, Mega Blastoise! It got a third cannon.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The Mega Evolution is fine. It's just my issue is with the whole deluge of water.
Yeah, for real. Let's see. God, I don't even remember them all. What are the 5th generation starters?
Snivy, Tapig, Oshawott.
Oshawott so cute.
Yeah, Oshawott cute, but
Oshawott and Dua are cool, and then it turns into just this crazy looking thing.
I liked it.
Samurot's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I like Samurott, but it goes from bipedal to quadrupedal, and it's weird.
Well, it's just a giant sea otter.
I know, and I like it, and it was my teammate when I played through, but I don't know, I've never been a big starter guy. I think if I had to choose a starter, it would probably be Sewaddle. Which is not a starter Pokemon.
It's not a starter! Well, you really like that line, don't you?
It's awesome, and I want it. That's all. I like it more than any of the starters.
Yeah. So I'm looking at right now. Generations 1 starters are Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle. Gen 2 is Chikorita, Cyndaquil, Totodile. Gen 3 is Trico, Torchic, Mudkip. Gen 4 is Turtwig, Chimchar, Piplup. Gen 5 is Snivy, Tepig, Ocelot. And 6 is Chespin, Fennekin, and Froakie.
Yeah, so see, I hear that and I'm like, boring, Charmander, boring, Torchic, boring. There are some that I like, but they're so overplayed. Everyone has them. That's my big thing. I'm oversaturated with every one of those starters. That's my thing.
Yeah, I getcha. It's interesting too, as I'm looking at the base stats. If you look at the base stat comparison when they're all fully evolved with like no additional changes or anything like that, Fire beats out Charizard is the strongest based on just raw numbers. Same for Typhlosion. Swampert's the strongest by a couple points. Infernape's the strongest in Gen 4. Gen 5, they're all tied, and Gen 6 is Delphox again.
Yeah. Huh. And Blaziken is like uber tier in terms of Pokemon competitive battling.
Yeah.
No,
and then if you do Mega Evolutions, Charizard X and Y kind of tie each other in points, and then Mega Blaziken just is not it's not the best in terms of raw numbers, but it's the high speed and the high raw attack and special attack it has means it's really good.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's anyone else have anything you want to add?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah. I'm about ready to wrap it up personally, so
yeah. I would like to thank Brian, Nick, Brittany, Gabe for joining me on this episode. I am Ron, and have a good one, everyone.